Chapter 7, Break. Holly is exhausted, upset, and confused. She misses having her friend Ajani to talk with, but he didn't return from Africa as far as she knew. The last time they spoke was the end of her sophomore year. His father was not doing well, and he needed to go back to Africa to attend to him. Holly is extremely impressed with Ajani's story. His family had scraped up enough money to send him to school in the United States. His room and board was a sponsorship from a white Christian family in the area who met Ajani when they did missionary work in Africa. While he was in school, he found a job washing dishes for a restaurant in the nearby town. Any extra money he had, he sent to his family in Africa. Ajani was 32 years old studying biology. Some on campus thought Holly and Ajani were dating, but Holly often drove Ajani downtown for his job so he could save money on bus fare. His conversations deeply affected Holly. She saw someone with limited opportunities, working hard, and focusing on things that matter. Holly cares deeply for Ajani, but not in the ways some of her friends implied. On Saturday morning, Holly decides to go home for the weekend. She tells Laura about how the group wants her to participate in the fashion show. With additional prodding from Holly, she finally agrees. Holly packs up some clothes and her laptop. She tells her roommate she will be back either Sunday night or Monday morning before class. In front of the gymnasium, JC is tying his sneakers. Destiny is dressed in a fashionable black sweatsuit with rhinestones adorn the jacket. Her hair is up in a ponytail and she has makeup on. JC just smiles and opens the door for her as they both head to the office next to the weight room. Both students carry a notebook and a pen. As part of their research project on health, Destiny set up a meeting with a trainer at the college. The trainer talks with the pair about sports medicine, food choices, and physical fitness. He also takes their blood pressure. JC is surprised to see that Destiny's is normal, whereas his is a bit high. The trainer explains people can be overweight and healthy, as well as muscular and unhealthy, but this is not usually the case. As JC, Destiny, and the trainer walk into the weight room, some of the basketball players are finishing up their workout. Ethan is there. He interrupts the conversation for a moment to ask to talk with Destiny later on that day. She agrees, and the training session proceeds. JC, who is very familiar with all the equipment, does several reps on each piece, while Destiny does one, if that, complaining she doesn't like to sweat. After the tour of the weight room, they return to the office and ask their follow-up questions. When they're finished, the pair shakes the trainer's hand and thanks him for all the information. As JC and Destiny walk to the dorms, she gives JC a long-winded story about how the fashion show needs male participants to make it successful. JC is more than willing to participate in the fashion show. After Destiny's so-called workout in the weight room, she takes a shower and changes. An hour later, she heads to the lobby to meet with Ethan. Her thoughts are to lay him out if he thinks she is going to participate in this minority hookup list. She is all for supporting other blacks, but she will properly place her foot in his backside if he suggests the list. When Destiny arrives to the lobby, she doesn't see him. Ethan is very easy to spot, since he stands over 6 feet tall. She knew he was there because he had just texted her. Looking in the direction of the comfortable couches in an enclave behind a pole, she notices his curly hair from the back. Destiny approaches and slowly sits down to the side and in front of him. Ethan looks a little worried. "What's up, Ethan?" inquires Destiny. "Thank you for coming," responds Ethan. From his slouched position in the chair, he leans forward to talk to Destiny. "Do you know where I was last night?" Destiny's mind begins to race around thinking this cannot be good. But being one who loves juicy gossip and information, she attentively listens. "No. Hold on. Let's see. A party somewhere?" "No. I was down at the police station," replies Ethan in a serious manner. "What? Were you arrested?" "No. Officer Wolf called me down to talk." "Talk about what?" "Apparently, the father of some freshman saw her Instagram pics and was not too pleased. He brought her to the police station and she told a story about being taken advantage of. The pic shows her and a group of girls drinking outside in the backyard." "Well, you guys had liquor at the party I went to." "That's not the issue. She said she hooked up with a black guy against her will." "I see. And you're the only black guy at the fraternity." "Well, did you do it?" "No." She described the guy as 5'6", and Officer Wolf put together a photo lineup of random black guys, and she actually selected one who worked in a police department in Ohio. She made up the whole thing. She probably was trying to save face with her dad. Meantime, trying to ruin my life. "Do you know who the girl is?" "Well, one of the pledges was able to find out because the police wouldn't tell me. The pledge said she was white with curly reddish blonde hair." "Wow. I saw someone like that with Teddy, I think." "So why did Officer Wolf have you come down to the station?" "I guess to warn me as to what was going on." "That was nice of him." "You might want to cut back on the parties and be more careful." "Yeah, basketball season has started, so cutting back won't be a problem. But thanks for talking to me about this." "No problem." They both stood up and hugged. Destiny took advantage of the moment and asked Ethan to participate in the fashion show. He graciously accepted. The Camry pulls up in front of the house. As Holly puts her car in park, she smiles as she sees her nephew Wesley. He's in his coat, jumping up and down with excitement behind the glass front door. She quickly gets out and removes her backpack and overnight bag from the trunk of the car. Holly jogs up the driveway and over to the front door. Holly can hardly break through the threshold of the doorway with Wesley hugging her legs. She bends down and kisses the top of his head. She drops her bags by the doorway and picks the 3-year-old up and gives him a big hug. His hug is just what she needed after the lousy couple of days she has had at school. Holly's mom and Wesley are the only ones home, and they are on their way out to the grocery store. Willow is at work at the beauty salon and left Wesley at the house for her mom to watch. Holly's dad, Harold, is also at work. Holly greets her mother and makes a request for some strawberry banana yogurt since they are heading out to the store. Holly goes into the kitchen and grabs a bottle of water. She looks around the house for a moment, then goes to her room, throws her coat in the chair next to her bed, and falls asleep for the next 2 hours. The smell of soup awakens Holly. Wesley and her mother are downstairs in the kitchen. Holly's mother is cutting up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich into 4 squares for her grandson. As Holly comes in and puts her nose in the pot of the vegetable soup on the stove. She gets 2 bowls out and leaves one for her mother, while she pours soup into hers. Holly checks the pantry for crackers and finds some. She carries her bowl of soup and crackers and takes a seat up at the counter next to her nephew. Wesley smiles at her auntie, whose eyes are already closed. He says his grace, eats his sandwich, and drinks from his juice box. As Mom pours soup into the bowl left out by Holly, she looks in her daughter's direction. "So, how is school going, honey?" "Fine, I guess." "Oh, I'm in a fashion show for Alzheimer's. Did you want to make a donation?" "Sure, I'll donate something." Her mother pauses for a moment, looking at her daughter, realizing something else is going on with her. "You guess? That doesn't sound fine to me. How are your classes? Do you like them?" "I love my journalism and ethics class. My economics class is a little challenging, and my worst class is sociology. My professor is ancient, and he's having us do a stupid project on differences." "Different behaviors? That sounds interesting." "No, it is not. We should not look at our differences. We should all just focus on common attributes." "In some cases, that would be great, but not always. Your dad and I are different. He's a man and I'm a woman, and I'm very happy we are different." Holly looks at her mom strangely. "Well, I'm not talking about gender. That's Becky and Freddie's project." She hesitates and thinks about whether to tell her mom that her topic is race. Holly realizes her mother is a bit of an antique herself when it came to race. The stories of a man named Rodney King and Trayvon Martin were discussed often enough during Holly's childhood, and she couldn't forget Poppy's stories of lunch counter sit-ins and water hoses used on black people that Holly just blocks out because she couldn't fathom those situations occurring today. In her mind, those issues were before her time. As Holly plays what response her mother will say in her head, she hears something. "Holly, Holly, Holly," her mother calls as she is snapping her fingers in front of her face. "Oh, sorry, Mom. I didn't hear you," replies Holly. "Girl, I hope you are not daydreaming in your classes like that," she says while frowning at Holly. "I was asking you, what is your topic?" "It's race, and I have to work with a partner who is a white, irresponsible frat boy. He's a nightmare." "Wow, that's harsh." "Well," Holly quickly interrupts, "and before you give me the same old Black history lesson of years ago, I just want to state that things are way different than they were when you were growing up." "I agree," says her mother as she removes Wesley's plate and empty juice box. Somewhat surprised with her mother's response, Holly continues. "I believe if you work hard and stay focused, you can be successful no matter what race you are. Look at you and Dad. You are both hardworking. You live in a nice single-family house and drive nice cars. Just look," pointing towards the front door. "In our cul-de-sac, we have the Nguyen's, who are Chinese." "Actually, they're Vietnamese," interjects Mom. "Okay, the Reyes family. They are Chinese, right?" questions Holly. "No, they are Latinos." "Well, I know the Brady's, Minsky's, and Koch family all are white, and the Days are black." Okay, responds Mom, not wanting to burst her daughter's bubble anymore by pointing out that the Cox family are biracial, Brazilian, and white. I mean, sometimes I hate to say some of us play the victim role, making poor decisions, and when we make money, we always wearing it on our backs. Or we have this self-hating thing going on, which I can't understand. We need to learn to love ourselves and keep it moving. I don't want anyone feeling sorry for me or acting like I'm a victim. Holly's mom is a little distracted by Wesley, which causes her to miss some of Holly's point by asking, "So, is it all about money, status, and financial success in your opinion?" "For the most part. What do you think?" asked Holly. "Look, Grandma," Wesley calls out, playing with his toy car. "This is Grandpa's truck." He runs the other car into it, making them crash. Making sure she gives Wesley some attention. "Oh no," Grandma responds with her mouth wide open. "Don't worry, Grandma. Grandpa's okay." "Well, I'm so glad." She gives a kiss to Wesley's forehead, and he gets down from the high stoop with Holly's help and runs into the family room with his two toy cars. "So, what do you think, Mom?" repeats Holly. "I think it's about respect, too." "Like how?" "For example, you were probably about 11 years old. The first black president of the United States, Barack Obama, is addressing Congress. And a congressman from South Carolina, Joe No Home Training Wilson, rudely yells out during his speech, 'You lie.' Now, Democrats and Republicans disagree all the time, but they were never disrespectful like that." "I agree. That is rude." I think you remember in 2015, Sandra Bland was stopped for failure to use a traffic signal. I never in my life heard of anyone being pulled over just for failure to signal. Ridiculous. The shooting of Laquan McDonald 16 times in Chicago, and a little boy in Cleveland, Ohio, Tamira Rice, broke my heart. But somehow the Aurora Theater suspect, who actually killed 17 people, can be arrested without injury. Her mother is getting a little emotional, but collects herself. I believe there are issues of race in these incidents. I do too, but I guess I don't want to think about it. I like being carefree and easy. This maturing and dealing with life really stinks. I understand. It's tough growing up and dealing with uncomfortable issues. You don't have to let it consume your entire life, but just be aware of it. Yeah, I agree. You know, my biggest question on the black-white issue is, how did we in America get to this point? Why are blacks perceived so negatively when we have been so caring and loving, like Martin Luther King with his nonviolence approach, when many other Americans were being so ugly with hatred and violence? Black people are some of the smartest people in the world, like the inventors, Patricia Bath and Charles Drew, CEOs like Kenneth Chenault and Ursula Burns of Xerox. But we choose to educate a large number of blacks poorly. The dominating image of blacks publicly are rappers and athletes, and it's usually the bad ones. What is that? Great question, says Holly's mother, as she is impressed with her daughter's knowledge of inventors and CEOs. She also writes down some information for Holly to research for her sociology project. Here are some references that may help your research. "I guess now and when I graduate, I need to ensure media coverage is balanced in their presentation of us." You got it, Miss Mass Media Major. You have to be the change you are seeking. Mom says as she walks over to her phone that is ringing. It's your dad. Holly gets up from the counter and places her soup bowl in the sink and cleans up the 3 other dishes in the sink. When she is done, she walks over to see what Wesley is doing. Holly can hear her mom. She has walked into the living room asking her father if he is okay. After 2 minutes on the phone, she explains to Holly that her dad was in a fender bender and she needs to pick him up. Holly goes into the bedroom and grabs her laptop and returns to the family room to watch Wesley while her mother is gone. She tries to research some of the information on the sticky her mother gave her, but Wesley is tapping his action figure across her keyboard. Holly surrenders, grabs an action figure, and plays along. The next morning is Sunday. The Woodward's family returns home from church. Holly decides she needs to go back to school. Between playing with her nephew and her concerns about her dad's well-being, she was unable to get any work done. Her mother tries to persuade her to stay for Sunday dinner, but she declines. She returns the dress and shoes she borrowed from her mother for church back to her mother's closet. Holly packs up her clothes from the dryer that she washed yesterday, grabs some granola bars and applesauce snacks. Her mom gives her a check for the Alzheimer's charity, while her dad tells her to drive carefully while slipping her $60 in cash. As she drives off, Dana informs Harold she saw him give her money and how it doesn't help her to budget. But Harold smiles and tells his wife it's okay as they walk back into the house holding hands. Learning from her previous trip, Holly keeps the radio volume down low along with her speed. The relaxing drive has her mind thinking random thoughts. Holly recalls Laura saying, "As you get older, life is not always black and white. Sometimes there are shades of gray." Her mother's statement on not letting problems and issues consume your entire life, but just to be aware of them, was also comforting. Holly is feeling good going back to school. Her family is fine. Seeing the church family was wonderful. Washing her clothes for free at the house and getting some free snacks for school. All is good in Holly Woodward's world. When she arrives at her apartment, Laura is watching television in the living area. Holly smiles and gives her an upbeat, "What's up?" Laura responds in a fair, "Hey." Laura takes her bags into the bedroom, humming. After putting away her clothes, she is still humming as she goes into the kitchen and puts her snacks away. Laura comes into the kitchen to see what is up with Holly. "Are you high?" asks Laura. "No, you know that's not my thing," replies Holly with a smile. "I'm cool. How was it around here?" "Okay, I guess. I got a lot of work done." "Good for you. That's what I need to do. I didn't get much done at home, so I need to go to the media center for a couple of hours," replies Holly as she goes into the bedroom to retrieve her backpack and heads out the door. "Okay, see you later." So in chapter 7, Holly takes a break and she goes home. She's upset and she's stressed out. For our chapter 7 question, please comment below what you do for stress or where do you go. See you in chapter 8.